welcome to Girls Only Sports, the Playbook. I am Candace. This is Kay. This is our basketball-centric episode. So if you want to know about ball and the WNBA and a massive trade, this is the episode for you. Please follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, X, Twitter, all of them. Just give us a follow, comment, like, subscribe. But we're going to get right into it in our full court press segment. The blockbuster that we've been waiting on in the WNBA.
It's happened.
It has happened. So let's start first with the Sparks. They have acquired Kelsey Plum from the Las Vegas Aces. Massive. She's been with the Aces her entire career. So this is her, this will be a brand new team, brand new city for her. She was actually courted by the Aces, which basically means that Kelsey Plum had to sign off on whichever team she got traded to. And it was fairly obvious that signing off, LA was the place for her to go. So she'll join De'Arica Hamby, who was with the Aces as well, Rickea Jackson, Cam Brink, who's coming off of an ACL tear. They're trying to make some shake over there with the Sparks. So what do you think about Kelsey Plum on the Aces? I mean,
I'm not
Sparks.
mad at it.
See, it's so
Listen,
it's so weird.
It's new. I'm not mad at it. I don't know. I think maybe them not getting that number one pick kind of shifted plans for everybody. I think it shifted plans. They might have went a different route than what they were originally going to go. I don't know. That number two pick, it still could have been a solid one. That number two pick still could have been a solid pick, but I think KP will do good. The Sparks need 2022 Kelsey Plum. That's all I'm going to say. They need her to be in her bag, and they need to get her a point guard to play with. Because while she can do it, I think she works better as a shooting guard. And if she's able to play in that role, I think you can see a bit of a resurgence from the Sparks. Have a little bit of momentum, something to build on if she's able to get a point guard in there with her. So I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
That number two is hard to give up.
Right. As you see with my hat, I'm mourning my core four.
Right.
I'm not mad at it either. I think, one, Kelsey Plum ending up to a place that she wanted to go, I think that's always good for players. To see how she plays along with, especially Rickea Jackson and them being like some 3-level scores, how that works out. But you were absolutely on point. They need a point guard. And for me, that number two pick, I read some reports how the Sparks were trying not to get rid of it because if Olivia Miles comes out, like, that would have been
one.
That's that one. I mean, and to set you up for the future, as the Aces had done in their, they had Kelsey Plum, then they drafted Asia Wilson, then got Jackie Young. This one, they would have got Rickea. They would have had Cam Brink and then bring in Olivia Miles. That can set you up for, 4 or 5 years, the long run. But I think Kelsey Plum will be is a good pickup for them to see how they can build. It's just it's going to be interesting. I don't necessarily see her much of a point guard, but I'm more so like, she's not going to be on the Aces anymore. So how is that going to look?
You still hurting. It's okay.
I'm still hurting, but I can see the vision for the Sparks. I can see the vision for the Sparks.
I see the vision.
But how do you feel about me being in mourning? It's a little sad to see, your star leave, that core four with Asia, Kelsey Plum, Jackie, and Chelsea Gray. 2 championships, they've won 2 Olympic medals. They had a run. All-Star game MVPs. They kind of set the standard on where the W should go and should be with an organization who wants to win, what it looks like. So it's going to be, I'm going through it a little bit, not seeing a little KP running around in the black and gold jersey, in the black and gray jersey. So
little dog.
Yeah. But not to say that there hasn't been, a fairly equal. Right.
Right.
Kelsey Plum basically got traded for Jewell Loyd. So Jewell Loyd from the Seattle Storm will head to the Las Vegas Aces. Jewell Loyd, I think she's like a 6-time All-Star, an Olympian, already won two
One of them.
championships with the Seattle Storm. She is one of them. She asked out of Seattle earlier. I don't want to say earlier this year, late last year. She will now join that Las Vegas Aces team. What do you think about Jewell Loyd on the Aces?
All I'm gonna say is there's got to be another investigation on the way because y'all can't keep letting this happen. How do y'all keep allowing the Aces to do this? And they pick up an additional draft pick on top of that. So
right. Now that's the part.
Listen, I'm like,
they steady under investigation. They lost all them draft picks only to pick up Jewell Loyd and a first round draft pick.
I said, now you know what? Listen. I'm not saying anybody won or lost this trade because I think it all works out for everybody. But if I had to pick one, it'd probably be the Aces as usual, because you just casually on a Sunday evening decide you want to get Jewell. How do y'all keep letting this happen?
Yeah, and I think this is one of those situations that people forget or forgot because Jewell didn't necessarily have the year that we're accustomed of seeing her play last year, and people forget what type of player that she is. The Aces got one of them, and she's not going to have to do as much scoring that it was required for her last year. I will say that, you know, Skylar Diggins-Smith and Nneka Ogwumike are tremendous players, and Jewell Loyd did, to me it seemed, she wasn't able to mesh well on court. Like, they were still trying to find their identity as a team. So for me, what I will look out for is seeing how Jewell Loyd is going to be able to mesh with Chelsea Gray, Jackie, and Asia. Granted, this is probably the easiest time offensively that she's going to have because she won't be, you know, the primary every night. Everybody's looking to stop her. But I am going to be keeping my eye on how she's going to be able to mesh with this new group, seeing that it didn't necessarily happen in Seattle. So it'll be, and then defensively too. I you know, Jewell Loyd's gonna have to get after it because one of the biggest things with the Aces is just their defense kind of wasn't clicking how I clicked when they won those two championships. So I'm with you. I think Kathy may be launching it. Well, I'll say this. Investigation is gonna be launched because I don't think the Aces are done. If the Aces get BG,
I swear that's what I was gonna say to you. I was like, at this point, your theory last week is true, and I'm, you know why? I'm here for it because all the super teams, like, blow up every team that we call the super team.
Right.
Super teams are no more, and we need one back.
Right.
And then who better than the Aces, the originators of the super team?
Right. Like, go ahead and run it. For me, it was like, am I mad? I'm looking at age too. You got Asia in her prime, Jackie in her prime. I think you still got a couple of good years out of Chelsea Gray and Jewell Loyd now. Yep. And you probably have a couple of good years out of Brittney Griner. I would risk it to run that 5 for 2 years max and then start the rebuild.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Because you don't want to get in a situation where you're wasting Asia's prime by not putting the pieces around her where, and I know people are going to be like, well, she shouldn't need all that help. All these other teams is getting tremendously better. You got to.
Right.
We ain't here to play schematics. Like, we here to win.
Yeah, but honestly, I feel like even if they don't add BG, adding Jewell adds another dimension to the Aces because you get another ball handler. You get another elite scorer. Like, somebody that, like you said, she doesn't have to be on. She don't have to have a great game every night because that's not going to be the role she's expected. But just know she can go off for 32. You know? So I think it just, you have the whole, now I'll say the whole starting 5 if they add BG.
Oh my God.
That core 4, the new core forward, you got to respect every single one. So it's going to add a new dimension.
That's almost as bad as when they got Candace Parker. It's not as
That's what
bad,
I'm saying.
It's almost as bad.
What launch the investigation. How does this
Right.
Oh my
But this WNBA season is going to be crazy. Jewell Loyd and Kelsey Plum and new teams. And that was kind of like the biggest domino to fall. And so now you're going to see, I think the next big one obviously is going to be BG. It's going to be figuring out who's going to sign Satu Sabally. Now, I know we talked about it before, but potentially her landing in Indiana and them being able to keep Kelsey Mitchell too. I think that'll run a good core to be able to compete for a championship this year or even next year. So it'll be interesting to see how everything kind of plays out now that these two players have kind of shifted the landscape a little bit. But Kelsey, like, I love our Aces. It's gonna be sad to see you go, but them games gonna be. They was already intense because of the whole dynamic with De'Erica. It's probably gonna be on
now
20
she back with Bestie too.
Right. Put them on prime time. Like the first Aces Sparks game, put it on prime time.
I need to see it. I need that one.
And not to be left out of all the talk with the Aces and the Sparks, the Seattle Storm obviously were involved in the trade as well. They receive the number 2 pick from the Sparks and Lee Yuru, who is a really good player in development, but I think Seattle would be a good place for her. But they do get this year's 2025 number 2 pick. So my question to you, although we already talked about we wouldn't have given up or did whatever we could not to give up that 2 pick, but who should the Storm pick at number 2? Olivia Miles or Kiki Iriafen? Or somebody we don't know. Because, like, what if Lauren Betts decides to from UCLA?
Listen, here's my thing. I have a couple thoughts on this one.
Okay.
Let me tell you. So the Storm, I think it's easy to look at what the Storm got out of this. Mm-hmm. I mean, number 2 pick ain't bad to have. But, and be like, they got the least, or, you know what I mean, in certain ways, but not necessarily, not even at all, really. But, I feel like it gave them a lot of options getting that number 2 pick. What they do with it, I don't know, because I feel like neither of those players necessarily fill the Jewell Lloyd hole that they've gained.
Yeah.
But you get so much out of it. You get Olivia Miles, that's adding great value in the sense that she get to play up under Notre Dame alum herself, Skylar. Right. And then you get Kiki. She gets to get up under NECA. Yeah, so it's like it's a win-win either way, but also that number 2 pick gives them some leverage elsewhere if they don't want to go young and have that development, because you got to think that both of those players, like I said, they're not filling the Jewell Lloyd
and NECA is a free agent too. So
exactly. So I think that comes into play too. If NECA signs back, I think the Olivia Miles route is where, if we're saying that they're going to take a pick, I think they take Olivia Miles if NECA stays with the Storm. If not, I think that's when you go to Kiki route.
Okay, I like that. And
that's where I'm at with it.
If you don't know what to do with that pick, like, do you trade it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
they got options.
Try to get some other pieces. Yeah, I'm with you. I out of the two, and I know they play 2 different positions. You know, the way Olivia Miles is playing, I just need, she can fill in your 2. She can play the 1, and I think it sets you up for a post Skylar Diggins, post Nneka Ogwumike world, where she gets the opportunity to learn from one of the best. But then you get set up for year 2, year 3, where Seattle can start, not to turn things around, but be back where they were. This is an organization that has like 4 championships, 3 championships, something like that. So I like that idea. So before we get out of our WNBA, what's the next major trade or major movement you think we'll see?
I think the next one we're going to see is Satu. I think that's the next one that's going to... And I say Satu because I think that changes a lot when it comes to that number 1 pick. I think that just... You know what I mean? I think it's going to be...
What if they do something crazy? What if they don't pick Paige at number 1?
Oh, who would they go?
I'm just putting it out there.
Listen, if they don't take Paige at number 1, the Sparks gonna be kicking themselves.
We've seen some. Listen, Dallas needs a point guard, I'm sure Paige is a point guard, and I'm not knocking saying which player is better or anything else, but I would be more comfortable seeing Paige be in that kind of transition role between a 2 and a 1.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm Dallas and I need a point guard so I can put Arike firmly in that 2, I may think about it a little different. I mean, I may think about it.
That's true. That's true. Where are you thinking? Go ahead and say
it. I would say. I mean, I would take. I would look at a little bit Miles for the number 1 pick. I would. I don't think it'll be. I think they need a point guard, but I 100% think they're choosing Paige Beckers. But I wouldn't be mad if Olivia got some push for that number 1 pick to Dallas.
Has Paige officially announced she's entering the draft? Because she does have one more year of eligibility, does she not?
Girl, you got to go, Paige. I know.
Listen,
I know
that's true. I think she does have to go now with her record. I think now is your time. You need to go,
right?
But
it's time to go.
Got to.
It's time to go. I think she's obviously
no more super seniors.
The injuries played a huge role, but I think it's also just the history of UConn. She'll be one of the very, very few, and I don't even know if they're few, massive superstars or great players that have went to UConn that has not won a national championship. That is a high mark to try to cross, but that's what you sign up for when you go to the University of Connecticut. You win national championships or bust. Pressure, but I think that's the thing sticking in her mind. But I think she's leaving. Like, at this point, she has nothing left to prove in college, and I think most fans understand what her career has been, and we want to see her operate at the next level. You know what I mean?
Now, when I have a whole mock draft, because if they don't take Paige, who's the next one to take? Does Seattle take Paige?
Yes.
I don't. I don't see.
You
it.
don't.
I mean, I get it. I would, but I think at that point she drops to Chicago.
I forgot Chicago got the 3rd pick.
Listen, and that's the thing too. If they listen, I've been thinking about this too much because I'm like, I kind of want the Storm to take Kiki
so Olivia can go to.
Girl,
we on the same page.
If
Olivia Miles gets to Chicago,
it's a wrap.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Like, Chicago got it.
They got it. They got it. Now, I know they didn't submit an extension to Kennedy Carter, and if they don't keep her, they're going to have to find somebody to replace her offensive input and replace Marina Bravery's offensive input. But Angel Reese proved what she can do. Camilla Cardoso, there is not a single thing, I guarantee you, seeing the numbers she's putting up in the Chinese Basketball League, this year next ain't nothing they can't do nothing with her. They're not stopping her. They're not stopping her. And if you give them 2 players a point guard like Olivia Miles, wrap it up. I'm calling Chicago championship. Maybe not 2025, but 2026.
26 though.
Listen, don't give them no point guard. But yeah, we're gonna have to do a mock draft.
Yeah, let's do a mock draft.
We're gonna have to do a mock draft. But that was some of our WNBA news. Our first big trade that happened in the WNBA this year. There's going to be obviously more movement, but, shout out to Kelsey Plum again, leaving my Aces, but wish her the best of luck. But in women's college basketball, the big game last week was LSU, undefeated LSU, took on South Carolina in South Carolina. As always, this matchup, it always got some stuff underneath.
Why can it never just be a good game?
It can never just be a good game. Like, the crowd was hype. They did have to reschedule the game before the snowstorm. Everything is going great. Like, the atmosphere, all of it. But there's just drama when these 2 teams play. So in the game, can't get it together. South Carolina wound up just too much for LSU. As the story has been the last couple of, I can't say last couple of years, I don't think LSU has beaten South Carolina at all.
Yeah.
Like, I think they have not been able to pick off a win against them. The starting 5s, to me, are pretty much equal. You got 5-star on both teams. But as Kim Mulkey always says, South Carolina has 10 5-stars. So they're just pulling players off the bench, willing to accept roles. That's just too much pressure, and they were able to run away in the second half. But the reason I'm bringing this game up because it's always drama. As you know, last year in the SEC championship, the push heard around the world, and then, somebody jumping out the stands. mayhem. But this year in South Carolina, the DJ happened to play a song towards the end of the game, that was made by Flau'jae Johnson's dad, who unfortunately had passed away some years ago. And it's one of those things where while it's happening, watching on TV, you don't know it happened.
Right.
You had no idea it happened. But then you're just scrolling and finding out it did. But then seeing the DJ's post where it was like, my bad, emoji, smiley face, it was completely disrespectful. Like,
yeah.
And rightfully so, Flau'jae called it out as she should. But I'm like, that kind of, like, I get, we grew up Tennessee, UConn. We get it.
Right.
It gets.
Yeah, I'm like, you get, rivalry is one thing. And then trying to provoke and get a rise out of your opponent is one thing. But I feel like that just comes down to, it is a limit, and that's just straight disrespect.
Yeah.
It's distasteful is everything,
It's everything, so, yeah.
And it's not needed. It's not necessary in the game. And you could have played her song.
Right.
You could have did so many things. You could have played her song.
You are like 10 on the scoreboard today with your points. You are absolutely right. If you wanted to be messy, you should have played her song.
Give it a scratch. You're like, no, we don't play that. There's so much you could have did.
But
that would have been in the name of a rivalry, or
correct.
We're going up against our competitor type thing. That's just, at that point, that's just distasteful and
disrespectful. And and South Carolina released a statement and said the DJ was going to be suspended for a game, XYZ. I'm like, judging by her post, I'm like, sis needs, I don't know if I call her a sis. I don't know if the DJ is a man or a woman, so let me stop there. But she may need to sit a couple of games because, like you said, there's a point where you can cross the line, and bringing up a player's deceased parent in that way, in that fashion, it has no place in basketball.
And then a my bad.
And it's like, come on, you don't have to be tacky with it. And like we just talked about, Dawn Staley and the contract and all that she means to women's basketball. Mm-hmm. She's finally been able to get that mantle that Pat Summitt held and Gino held and C. Vivian Stringer held. And it's like, why put that on the program? Especially 18,000 prime time, not prime time, but like people leaving work early to go to a women's college basketball game. But this is the underneath stuff after it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's in a program that already has a target on their back. Like, you just giving more people reason to hate this team for no reason. When they got all this talent, when they could just keep, like, how many times you got to say, just keep it basketball?
Just keep it basketball. Now we got to wait to see what the SEC tournament pans out to be. Because if them two play each other again, I'm going to say this. If Flau'jae decides to get disrespectful, I'm not mad at it.
Me either.
And I know the players didn't get disrespectful, but at this point, you repping the school in your jersey, so I'm gonna have to take it there too. But let's just keep. What's our thing? Keep the main thing the main thing.
There you go.
And let's move along to our She Did That segment. We want to give a shout out to Madison Keys, won her first Grand Slam. If all you tennis fans out there know Madison Keys, she has been a pro for 16 years now and has been knocking on the door. But, the post-Serena era, we've been looking for, another American player to kind of step in. Coco Gauff kind of ran with it a little bit. She won her Grand Slam a couple of years ago at the U.S. Open. Naomi Osaka won a couple as well, the U.S. Open and the Australian Open. But Madison Keys has just been chugging along for a long time trying to get there. She got to the U.S. Open final in 2017. But this year, she was finally able to beat the number one player in the world to win her first Grand Slam. And I have to find the Nike quote because it was perfect for Madison Keys' career, but it was like perfect for life. So
I really felt it in my spirit.
I felt it in my spirit. I'm looking for it right now because it was so good.
Yeah, it's always good. It's fun to watch them win that first one.
Yes.
Cause it's just like she really just gave finally.
She sure did. Even her pose.
Yeah.
It says it doesn't happen overnight until it does. Like,
period.
listen.
Oh, I like that. That's gonna be our girls only thing.
That's gonna be girls only thing. Shout out Madison Keys for inspiring,
right?
Because we needed it. Because like, look at it. You know, we're so used to seeing, or we're used to championing dominance in a way where if you don't win 5-6 championships or 5-6 Grand Slams, people start questioning everything. But to see a player who has been around for a long time still be able to push and break through and finally get her first one, it makes all the other stuff worth it. Like, so right. it's don't get us up here testifying, but that's gonna be
can't wait to get a witness.
What is it again? Hold on, we gotta have to put it up. It doesn't happen overnight until it does.
Until it does. Y'all just wait.
Shout out to Madison Keys. And lastly, we're gonna hit our X's and O's statement, which has turned into our unrivaled discussion because it's a league that we kind of knew it was going to be as exciting, but we did not know it was going to pan out the way this has. So we're going to go team by team that way, and how they rank in the standings. So this is week 2. They do play tonight. This is Monday, so they'll play tonight. But this is from last weekend. The Laces are 3-0 and look like the best team in Unrivaled. Well, I don't want to say that because the team after them looks dang near unbeatable too. But with Tiffany Hayes, Alyssa Thomas, they running the show right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm with you. No, I feel like that's a solid statement to make. I think Lunar Owls look good, but I think the Laces are that team right now. I think they're the team to beat. While Lunar Owls is also undefeated right now. The Laces have had authoritative wins. Like they look good. They look solid. They look like a team.
Kayla
like
McBride.
They look like they've been playing with each other.
Yep. So, Kate Martin, Stephanie Dolson,
and all of them.
All of them. Like, it's no one of the things that we're kind of noticing, I don't know if you see it, is sometimes you can tell the difference between, you know, getting your 3 out there and then putting in your second 3. And sometimes you got to wait for that second 3 to kind of get their momentum.
Get that
with
momentum,
the Laces,
right.
You can toss in any 3 you want to. Ain't no drop off.
No.
0.
Absolutely not. And that's exactly the point. I think that's why the Laces look like the team to beat at this point. Because, like you said, everybody else, they might look good and they playing good, but there's a little fall off.
Yeah.
So, but the Laces, I think they cruising right now, and I think they're the ones to beat.
To Kate Martin, I think if there was a couple of players that are getting some tremendous benefit. I think all the rookies who are playing are, but Kate Martin on this particular team, and seeing her, because they have the same kind of grit, and it's they're kind of putting that into her too. So when she steps in there, it's like she's taking from them, but then add her own little play to it. So to see her coming in confidently and playing, it's only going to serve her better when she goes to the Valkyries. So, you know, shout out to the Laces. Alyssa Thomas did get hurt. You see, I'm still going through it.
Right. I heard it.
Alyssa Thomas got hurt, so she'll be out for a minute. Jackie Young is still out. Like, they're doing all of this without Jackie Young.
That part.
Without Jackie Young. Said. We're doing it without Jackie Young, which is utterly
shout
ridiculous.
Shout out to Tiff too, because she's been insane
on a tear. And there's a difference too. I wanted to save this point, but I hadn't noticed it before when giving my picks of the players who had actually played 3-on-3 before, whether it be in the Olympics for the U.S. team or other countries' team. You can tell who has had some experience in 3-on-3 and how these teams are playing.
And one of them ones.
And she's one of them ones. So the second team in our rankings are the Lunar Owls. They're 3-0. Listen, Nafisa Collier got something to prove. I know it's just 3-on-3, but it's something crazy. She averaging like 30 points, something crazy, 16 boards.
She said, "Oh, y'all thought I was joking when I said this is my league." Yeah.
There's just no word.
Again, like you said, like
with this team, it's like, don't get me wrong. Courtney Williams, dog. Alicia Gray, dog. Shakira Austin, Skylar Diggins Smith, dog. But there's something that can be said when you have the best player in the league. Like right now, Nafisa is the best player in Unrivaled, and there's just really nothing anybody can do about it.
That's that.
That's that.
Yeah, like 1A and 1B. Like I said, I feel like the Laces are playing more together as a team. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Lunar Owls got that one.
Yeah.
And they got the one that they need. That's
right.
the thing.
Right.
And then on top of that, Alicia Gray playing the way she's playing, I think she's playing like fantastic.
Another player with 3-on-3 experience.
Yeah. She's doing well. Skylar, I think Courtney Williams even in these last couple games really shown herself 1A and 1B.
Yeah.
and the standings prove that one. So.
Yeah, for sure. Now Vinyl, that was your pick. Vinyl, they're sitting at 2-1.
Vinyl wasn't my pick. Vinyl was our collective pick.
That was our collective pick. You right. I'm
gonna be honest with it, Rose. My team coming.
Mine is too.
Right.
When Enrique ain't cussing out the referees.
Right.
But Vinyl, when I made the point before, when they put Enrique, Ryan Howard, and De'Erica on the floor, those three, they get something shake. I think they're going to have to figure out a rotation of when to bring in Jordan, Ray, and Aaliyah Boston. And once they figure out that rotation, I think they'll be ready to go because, like we said, Enrique and Ryan, let them go. Just let them go. But I think you can notice sometimes a difference when that three gets off the floor, that them finding their rhythm gets a little stagnant. You know what I mean? Right. So that's one of the things we expected with Unrivaled. So what do you think?
I'm right there with you. I think you definitely see the fall off when they're on there. But again, you see it, but then also it's just a meshing thing for these other teams. I think they haven't meshed and they're not all playing like, you can't throw any of those three out there together.
Right.
Because you got the Ryan and you got Enrique, but then you take De'Erica off for a minute, put Aaliyah Dawson, and the flow is different. Everything just feels like completely new teams each time they're out there. So I think that's when especially the vinyl, they have it.
Right.
It's just putting it all together and making it one cohesive unit instead of it feels like you can tell they run like De'Erica, Ryan, and and Enrique in practice.
Right.
Like that's what it feels like sometimes. You're right. Versus like switching it up and seeing other looks and seeing how everything can look. So time. I think time for vinyl is what. I mean, how much time we have, I don't know. But
they need to. Yeah, but 2-1 is not. It's manageable.
No. They no slouch.
They no slouch. Now your true pick, because Vinyl, you're right, was ours. Your pick, Rose. What's going on with Rose? Well, I know what's going on. They spending too much time TikToking.
Well, what happened was
they the social media stars. But I will say this. I know I was going to ask you what was going on. Something is going on with Chelsea Gray got to take the clipboard and drop her own play.
I think that's what's going on. I think that's what's going on. I genuinely do. And I feel like that about a couple teams. I do. What?
She
young
did that.
Growth. Chelsea said, "I got it." Yeah. But no, I think Rose is showing promise. I think they've settled in a little bit more to themselves in this last game that they played. Lexi Hall, it was good to see more rotation. She sure did. This last game. I think that was a big thing for Rose. Rose didn't have too much rotation in those first couple games in the first weekend. Right. This last weekend, Lexi Hall showed up. And I think a lot of people were calling for Lexi Hall last week and asking where Lexi Hall was. And she said, "I'm here." Yeah.
Chelsea Gray said, "Get in the game."
Come on. She said, "Show up." And she did. And also, I can never say too many great things about Chelsea Gray. Like, she just wanted to win. Like, that's Chelsea Gray's team. Yeah. I think without Chelsea Gray, this team would struggle more than they are. more than they are.
You're right.
I think she's holding them together right now. And I need everybody else to kind of lean into it and build upon that.
It's time to lean in.
Yeah, lean in a little
bit. Lean in a little bit. But Rose, like I said, they're 1-2. They were able to get their first win on a Chelsea Gray buzzer beater. Then there's Phantom, who was able to get their first win when they just basically decided you have Brittany Griner on your team, so we're just gonna give her the ball. I don't know why they didn't figure that out the first 3 games.
You know what I'm upset about is because now I got to take back my statements from last episode. BG heard me and she said, "Who, me?
Right?
Who, me can't run? Who can't play? You don't respect me no more? I wasn't disrespecting you, BG.
BG ran like 30 points straight.
BG didn't have to do all that. I was just playing. I was just trying to put a fire under you, girl. Let's everybody relax."
Yeah. I think with the Phantom too, I understand, Sabrina out there in Paris at Fashion Week, so they're waiting for her to come back. But it's just getting their rhythm and rotation right. Marina Mabry hasn't been able to play. She's hurt with a calf injury and cooking for everybody on TikTok. But I think once they get the players who were on their roster, Natasha, Sabrina, Marina, Brittany, Satu, Katie Lou, if they can be able, like we talked about, mesh and meld, we can see a different team. They called up Nalissa Smith.
Why not?
They're like, some of y'all wags gotta come. Your wags gotta come on and play. Y'all just can't be down here.
You down here anyway.
You down here anyway. Might as well suit up. I think I see the water bottle down there too. Call her up too.
Put her in, coach.
But that's the thing with the Phantom is that, once they get their rotations and their players and do understand that you have Brittany Griner on your team and there's nothing nobody can do with her in the post and 3-on-3, just give her the ball, let her work. But they were able to get their first win. And Satu showed up that game too.
Right. I was just about to say it. I was like, last week, you had some words about my friend Satu. And I'm not going to call you out on it. Because I did too. I was like, all right, Satu,
was looking a little
step
exposed.
It up. Yeah, she needed to step it up a little bit, but I was going to say I think she showed up in this last game, and hopefully that continues. And her and BG alone is low key cheat code on the team. Right. So I think once they get it together,
they will. Now, to close us out,
now let's talk about your team.
Girl, on paper, I was like,
on paper, it's so good.
It's so good. Stewie, Jewell Lloyd, Rakia Jackson, Aaliyah Edwards, Dejanay Carrington. I know Dejanay was out the last game because of a injury, but on paper, it looks good. And then the last game, Rakia Jackson showed up and started to hoop. But it's not working.
This is the problem with the Mist. I genuinely do not think the Mist are the worst team in Unrivaled right now. And that's what upsets me. I don't think they're not like the worst team. I think they're just not. I don't know. I genuinely don't think they are playing like an 0-4 team. I don't.
But they're not winning.
What makes it so, I know that's what makes it so confusing. It's just like there's a fall off, like the fall off to the momentum in that third, going into that
the fourth
that
quarter.
Yeah. It's just something that we're gonna have to do better, Miss. Because at this point, y'all got me rooted. I was mad y'all lost. Like, and I need them to get it together.
They got to. And the point I brought up earlier is this is the only team that doesn't have a player that had 3-on-3 experience. I didn't know how much that would come into play, but seeing that this is the only team who hasn't won a game yet, and they don't have a player that's done 3-on-3 at a point. Maybe one of these players have, but I think an article I read, it was like for U19 or something. But I don't know what's missing, because offensively it's all there. Defensively is there, but it's just not clicking. And I had the Mist running.
You was like, they running the table with
running the table.
They wiping the floor with everybody.
I was so they're gonna come. It's the comeback of all comebacks. Like,
for sure.
They're gonna lock in a minute because they sick of people playing on their name.
Yeah, you look at this team and it should be working. And I, like I said, I would argue that it is working. It's just other team got it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that fall off in the third, fourth is just, it's real for them.
Right.
And they gonna have to pull it together. But
come on, like Stewie, you one of the founders. Your team cannot be the team without a win. I'm gonna need you to go. You said 2022, Kelsey Plum. We need 2022. Right. 20. We need 2020 Finals MVP, Stewie. Like,
come on, Stewie.
I'm gonna need you to pull 4 straight national championships. You got to
straighten up them legs. Stewie.
Yeah.
Tighten up, Stewie. Stewie gonna have to tighten up. But that's the thing, like, she's not playing bad.
She legit. Stewie is hooping. Like I said, even Rakia Jackson and Jewell, they be hooping.
Jewell Lloyd is hooping.
Something is just, it's not equating to wins, and it's just like you.
It's hard to watch, actually.
When I tell you, if anybody's put up numbers today, is Kay on all her points. You didn't. You done went straight to Frisa Collier on all his points. But you said it correctly. When they get into that fourth quarter, which, you add 11 to the highest score, and then both teams have to get to that score. There's no time in the fourth quarter. That transition from third to fourth, the miss just it's not connecting. So we'll see what happens.
You sticking with Miss?
I'm gonna stick with Miss. I'm not gonna give up on them. I would like to see. I'm circling when the Lunar Owls and the Laces play. Unfortunately, I'm waiting until that happens where both their teams are at full strength.
Fair.
Since Alyssa Thomas is out. But I'm sticking with Miss. You sticking with Rose?
I'm sticking with Rose.
We go, and then Vinyl, you got to do one for the team and be better than everybody. So we
right.
We ain't down low on the totem pole.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that was our show today. Please, once again, like, comment, subscribe. Follow us on all social media platforms: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I am Candace. That is Kay. And this is Girls Only Sports.